Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of the Namsnoodle podcast. Usually, like I've mentioned once before, these are just little short mini podcasts. I just like to cover a lot about mental health, especially with what I go through, my anxiety and suffer through the depression. But we're going to go a little different tour, a little different route here in this little particular segment. Making headlines is Colin Kaepernick, and not for his performance on the field, but more specifically what he did it was on the field, but it was an off the field, technically on the field, off the field ordeal, however you want to look at it, because he was sitting on the bench. Now, sitting on the bench, what's that have to, you may be saying, well, why is that a big deal? Well, hold on. He refused to stand up during the national anthem. Heads turning, everyone's talking about it, and the reason being because he refused to stand up for a flag for a country that oppresses blacks and other minorities. Which, that in itself is another cause. I think I'm not going to sit here and really try to preach so much about why I believe he should have stood up, because, I think it was wrong. But it's so much just, I think there were so many other factors for Colin Kaepernick personally, as opposed to what he said he actually did it for. Like I said, he was doing it because he feels minorities are oppressed. Basically this just turned into a look at me type of situation, drawing attention to himself, because probably basically more or less his performance on the field has declined in the past several seasons, and he needed to make headlines in a certain way, and he's in a quarterback battle probably for the starting job with Blaine Gabbert. If you really want to make a statement, I don't think that's the platform to do it. I've seen others mention, if he really wants to make a difference, he would get involved with, these organizations, or to help the lower class, the people who might be living in poverty, the minorities of this country, instead of just blatantly disrespecting the men and women who have died for his freedom and right. But see, then you go, that's the thing, they gave, because they did die for that right for him to choose not to stand. So it's like, well, there you go. He has the right to choose not to stand. But see, if you look at it, it's kind of like that unwritten rule, or you have unwritten rules where even though, you do have that right, you still do it because it's the right, appropriate thing to do. Like in the softball league that I was in, for example, we had a rule where if a girl, because I was in a co-ed league, if a girl hit a ball and it was into the outfield, you could not throw her out. Well, that was the original rule. You could not throw her out from the outfield if she's trying to get first base. They changed that rule, and you were allowed to then throw her out from the outfield and get her out from there. But a lot of the people, even though that rule changed, they said they didn't bother throwing her out because, one, she deserved the hit. She got the hit. She deserves it. And, that's basically the unwritten rule. Yeah, we can get them out, but it's kind of like, the girls are already at a disadvantage because they don't have the power. And I don't mean to stir a sexist thing now because I bring up, the man is, on average, genetically, physically superior than a woman. The average man against the average woman, I'm saying. So let's just leave it at that. But see, this is kind of like just going with the unwritten rule. Yes, he has that right to not stand up because, women and women died for his right to do so. But the unwritten rule of you still do it, you still stand up and pay your respects to those men and women who fought for you and everyone else's rights. Now, because think about it. if he was in another country and did something like that, displayed disrespect, you could be looking at a beheading, or 50 lashes, right? Physical and public torment. Yeah. But I mean, Colin Kaepernick, yeah, this was more of a publicity stunt, I think, more so than anything than actually, I personally believe, than him actually standing up for minorities being oppressed. Sure, I mean, maybe he does feel that, minorities are oppressed, but, excuse me, but it could have been a different, why do you have to bring the national anthem in it, or, our country's, just the country into, well, I mean, because, yeah, I guess, because, I mean, that it is a serious problem in this country, but, I mean, you could have done it on a different platform, I think, or more appropriate platform if it really was a topic that you are serious. I mean, I never really heard Colin Kaepernick say anything about it before until just now. And Colin Kaepernick's been in the league for, what, 4 or 5 years now? And, you never heard him say anything about it during that time up until this point. And I don't know if he's really been, like I said, actively involved with any organizations that, like I said, help that help blacks or minorities or people that might come from disadvantages. It's an interesting take, though. It's an interesting story because, like I said, I mean, I was on Facebook, every timeline of some sports or news-related organization was talking about it, and it was turning heads. And, this is ultimately what he did. He got what he wanted, I think, out of it, ultimately. I think it's going to become a distraction. Again, sorry about this pop-up that comes up there. That you might be able to see that. Mostly you just listen to the podcast more so than actually watch, right? But it becomes a distraction for the organization. So in that way, it's going to probably backfire, I think, probably for him, because teams aren't going to want a distraction in the locker room, and that could make the team atmosphere a problem, and the chemistry and everyone's relationships on and off the field an issue. So it's not really looking at whether he believes right or wrong about the issues in America of blacks and other minorities being oppressed, but it's just, I'm just talking about mainly just about where he chose to do it, why I think he probably did it was probably because, he had, like I said, he's been declining in production on the field, I think, in the past few seasons. Ever since the Super Bowl run, the 49ers have been getting progressively worse, and he hasn't been playing the same as well. So it's interesting, though, when people do things like this, and, again, it gets many people talking. Feel free to let me know what you think. Leave a comment, give me your feedback. I'd love to hear it. I will leave a link also to my Facebook page and my Twitter. You can follow me on there. I talk about anything and everything. It could be about sports, about mental health, but I just wanted to tackle this because, I mean, I love sports, and it was this was something that was really turning heads and getting people talking. So with that said, as always, I'm Nam, and always use your noodle.